for a moment. I did not put up my sign, so I'm going to put it up for now. I may have to do a recording on my own of this, so I really do apologize. I always forget something, and that was it today. So, all right. Anyway, I'll re-record this for you. Don't worry. It'll take me a day, and you'll have it up a few hours later. Right. Okay, so finish agent. Use the @ sign. If you want to be contacting someone specifically, like if you post on their format in their message where they wrote a message, they will get it. But if you want to also copy someone else in, let's say somebody made a comment and you kind of copy them in, then put the @ sign, and the other person will see it. But you have to use their name exactly as they used it. So if someone only used their first name, such as Sally, then use the first name. If someone used their first and last name, then use the first and last name. I think that was the problem with some people not, some people got an error message, and I was getting that as well.
Yeah.
So,
do you have a preference so that we can be consistent with that? Like, just to make it easy for everybody? Names, or...
If you want to change your profile, I think it would be good to actually just have first names, because it's easy to misspell or somebody's last name, or not have the right spacing. So I think that if you want to go back and then change your finish agent name, put in a nickname and just put your first name, and I think that'll be easier for everybody. Again, it's optional, but that's my suggestion. Other questions on that?
Linda, I don't know if this is true for everybody else, but I only ever receive notifications on posts in the progress report area. I never receive notifications in the forums. Is that the way it's supposed to work?
I believe so. Yeah, I think you don't receive notifications. I think you have to just go to the forum, and when you see it's kind of highlighted, you'll see new messages. So okay. I think then you can look in, but I think that now if each person has their own topic, just under your own name, then you'll see when somebody comments on it, it'll be highlighted, and then you can just go in and see what somebody said.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to open it up to questions in a minute, but I just want to go over the homework now. So for next week, if possible, and soon we're going to be slowing down a little bit, but really this should not take you, I think, more than 2 hours. You're not actually writing anything. You're just creating your template. You're creating your table of contents. So you can just put down the introduction and make a few notes for yourself on what you want to say in the introduction. You can put in the topics on the problem. So what topics are you going to discuss in your problem? You can put down the main topics for your solution. So what are the main topics you're going to discuss in your solution? You can get some questions to guide you, and then under each topic, you just put in some notes of what you want to say. This is only for yourself. So you can show it to us, but you don't, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't have to be written well. It could just be note form. So if you can, try to do this. If you can't get it done for next week, then try to do it within 2 weeks. But honestly, I think that this just takes 1 to 2 hours of clear thinking. You probably know this really well. Like, what are the topics that you have to educate people about in the problem they're suffering from, and what are the topics you have to explain in your solution? Does that make sense? Like, I just want to know, is this clear, or is there something that I'm not explaining well?
Yeah.
Does that make sense, Sally?
Yes.
Anybody have any questions on this? Because I think it's important to realize that it's actually simple.
Hi, Linda. This is
Yeah.
Mitzi.
Yeah.
You're saying that we have a session next week, but I thought our next session was on the 29th.
Yes, I did change it, and I did mention that last week. There is an outline for the course, And so next week, I want to talk about the writing or the recording. Now, I'm doing that because some people are kind of at this point now where they're ready to start writing and recording, and I don't want to hold anybody back. But if you feel like you need an extra week, then I will talk about the writing and recording next week. Again, hopefully I should record this. I only missed this once last time as well. So hopefully I don't do this again. I will re-record it for you. And then the 29th, which is the last week of the month, on the Wednesday, I'm going to have an open Q&A. So anybody that is having any trouble or has any questions with anything up to then, I'm going to talk about, I'm going to be there. So if you want to come on, then you can come on. And if you don't, that's fine as well. Does that make sense? Is that answering your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on structure, on how to structure your book?
I have a question on the website.
Okay.
I'm one of those people that needs to update my website, and I'm not sure how, what do people suggest? How to go about doing that?
Yeah, you know, Sally, I'll be happy to talk with you privately after this because I have a suggestion for you.
Okay.
We did discuss it very briefly, so why don't we book a call and I can help you get started with that.
Okay.
If anyone else also feels like they want to update their website, just email me and we'll set up a call for that. Okay, any other? Okay, well, I'll just continue a little bit more.
I have one structure question.
Yes,
from,
yes.
Heidi.
Yeah.
My question is it possible that, because I was thinking about this as you were talking about this problem and the solution, is it possible that the problem could just be one chapter and then the solution could be like your 10 steps or whatever?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Does that make sense to you, that it might not be half the book, or like?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and as a matter of fact, for some of your books, I'm guessing for Ingrid's book, the problem is not that great. I mean, well, it could be, but I mean, for David's book as well. Heidi, I did have a few other suggestions for you in the forum for some ideas for titles. I don't know if you saw that I put them in.
Today, no.
Yeah. So when you have a chance, go in and look. I just thought of a few thoughts. You may or may not like them, but you know, just the thinking process.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. Other questions? Okay, we'll come back in a minute. So just to review, what we covered today was a structure for outlining your book and some tips to organize Finish Agent. And just a little quote, which I thought very apropos for this group, is act as if what you do makes a difference, because it does. So your books really do make a difference. And that's why I feel so honored to be and excited to be working with all of you, because I know that your books will make a difference. So just to keep encouraging you to keep working on your books, because they will make a difference in people's lives. I can promise you that. So if you don't have more questions, let's just take a moment for any aha moments. And again, if you have a question as you talk, then let me know. So what did you learn from my aha moment is I better not forget to record this again. What are your aha moments?
Hi, this is Mitzi.
Yeah.
My aha moment is that your structure makes it seem like the book could be relatively more simple than what I had imagined, which makes it seem more doable than what I had imagined.
Yes, it is actually more structured and more doable than you could imagine, for sure. And that's why I think that this class is so important, because it just seems too big and mammoth to start writing a book when you don't know the structure. But when you see it as really a problem and a solution and breaking it down into steps, it is doable, right? How you break it down will be personal for each person, depending on your book. Your problem could be quite dominant or not so dominant. Maybe your solution is coming up pretty soon. So again, I mean, just take this in the framework of your book, what makes sense. But that's what most of life is about. We have a problem, we look for a solution to it. So that's what you're doing with your book for your readers.
Linda,
Yes.
for me, I had the wrong intro. My intro was about 10 things that I want to share about happiness. I call these the happiness basics, which would be more like part one. It's not really the problem, but I'm sharing a lot of general great information, happiness. And then my 30 tips are on how to increase. So I really didn't even think of a real intro where why I'm writing this book and who is this for. I have to add that now. I didn't figure that in.
Well, you can add that in later at the end. Maybe your problem is, maybe it's just a few sentences. I mean, people know if they're not happy. So maybe, you want to go in a little bit into the science of happiness and non-happiness, and maybe you don't. Maybe you really don't need that. Again, like as I said, tailor this to your own book. This is just a general framework.
Yeah.
So I mean, Ingrid, you're very much on the right track with your book. If we can discuss your intro later, but I think you've outlined your book already very nicely.
Okay.
And you can go back and edit or fix up the introduction. It's not a big deal.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Linda, do you ever find that people do not read the introduction? Because I was just sitting here looking at my chapter 1 probably reads more like an introduction. It's pretty short. But it definitely is critical to the book. If it's me, I'm one of those people that I skip the introduction, I get right to the meat. But I don't know if other people are like that. I wouldn't want this skipped, but yet it could serve as an introduction. Yeah,
that's hard for me to answer. I mean, I don't know of any surveys on how many people read the introduction. I bet Amazon would know. I would guess more people probably do read the introduction, but the introduction should still be an overview. It should be fairly general. So the first chapter, if it's important information, put it in the first chapter. It's hard to say. I mean, maybe
Like, should I even have an introduction, or is it possible to have a book without one?
Well, some people just have a preface. They just have 1 or 2 pages, and they don't have an introduction.
Okay.
So you may not need one. The introduction is really, to me, you want to sell people into reading the book. If the preface can do it, then keep it short. You can have a 1 or 2 page preface and jump into the book.
Okay. Maybe I'll post this and see what you think, if you think it would just make a good intro instead.
I think I'm with you, Nicole, in that an introduction, if it's a couple of pages, I'll read it. But if it's any more than that, I just skip that and go straight into the chapters. I'll look at the contents page and maybe pick out the chapters, so I don't necessarily read them in the exact order.
Some people do jump around. I often do it, especially in nonfiction. But I find that if I start reading something and I say, oh, this is really interesting, I will probably go back and read it from the beginning to make sure I didn't miss anything. Whereas some books are just, so-so, and I kind of skip around. Now, does that make sense?
For me, I think it's probably because a lot of the books I read are reference books, so I will jump around a lot.
For Ingrid's book or for David's book, I mean, you might encourage people. They don't need to go day by day, like day 1, day 2. Somebody might want to learn about music and not be interested in some other topic. So you might encourage people to just pick the topics that appeal to you most, or not. You know, that's up to you. People will probably do it anyway. So just to realize that. But in someone else's case, like when you have to educate people, what is autoimmune disease, or what are the hormonal problems that are causing you to have no energy, people probably do need to read a bit of the background just to get a picture of it, because it'll be a little bit harder to understand. A little bit harder to, you know, just to jump into the solution if people don't understand the problem. So again, think about it for your book. You know, how does it work for your book? I see the wheels are turning in your heads. Any other questions?
Linda, I got a special gift today in the mail from you.
Oh, good. Yes.
You recognize that?
Yes. I was talking about it right at the very beginning. I think you came on a moment later.
Yeah,
and,
I just got it.
Oh,
Just
good.
today.
Good. I did send it to everybody. Some people got it, some people didn't yet, because the mail service is different everywhere. But you all got a gift from me. And, you know, just to, now that you see what it is, the reason I thought of this was in my last course, Dr. Michael, he would always come on from anywhere in the world, and he'd say, well, I put my writer's hat on to come onto the call. And I thought, oh, what a neat idea. Like he always said, when I put on my writer's cap, I'm ready to think about my book. So I thought, oh, well, that sounds like just a fun idea to give everyone a writer's cap. So you don't have to put it on your head if you don't want. You could keep it somewhere where you see it, and then think, well, your writer's cap is on now. It's time to focus on your book. So if there's no more questions, I'll just give you a little thanks for joining me, and I will see you next week, March 22nd, where we're going to talk about writing and recording. So the two things, whether you want to write or you record, and you may want a mixture of both. So that'll be very valuable for anybody that wants to try some recording. And I fervently hope that the weather will be a little more like this and not like it was at the beginning slide. But who knows, I'll probably still be stuck in the snow, but maybe some of you are enjoying this, so that's great for you. So I will record this again, maybe in 2 or 3 segments, and get it to you within a day or two. And very sorry for that again. I should put up a big sign, which I usually did, and today I didn't. So anyway. At least we recorded this part. So I wish you all a great afternoon or evening or morning or wherever you are. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Linda.
Thank you.
Bye, Linda. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.